Hey everyone, my name is Joe, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Google Sheets query function with sum, count, and labels. So as you can see, I've got a standard Google Sheet here, and I have a table full of data. I've got first name, last name, phone numbers, and addresses that are completely broken out. And then over here in my last column, I have some amounts, like as if let's say it's like purchase orders, right? These people are buying something. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to cell L1, and we're going to start our query function off. We're going to open it up with an equals and Q and tab to auto-complete that query opening, and it's going to open up that first parenthesis, and we are going to select our query range, which is going to be our entire table today. We had a comma, and then open quotation marks, and select with a capital S. And so normally we would say, like, let's say select all, where H, capital H, is equal to, let's say, the state of Nevada. And we're going to close that single quote, close that double quote, close that parenthesis, hit enter. And now we have the two rows of data for people who live in the state of Nevada. But let's say that we want to know how much those individual people purchased, right? So here we could say, we can look at this. We can come down here and look at the sum real quick. It's $53.27. We could even say, an equal sum and select those two rows and then total, and we could get it that way. It's not very efficient because, what happens if we want to look at a different state that has other, a lot more people in it, a lot more purchases, and then this gets in the way. So I can show you what that looks like. Um, let's look at South Dakota. I'll show you how this will break real quick because this returns back 5 or 6 rows of data. And when it does, what happens is that this sum function down here gets in the way of the data that it's trying to put there. And so it'll give you an error. Array result was not expanded because it would overwrite data in U5, and that's exactly what's happened here. So we can actually delete that, and then our query results auto-populate. So now we're looking at South Dakota. But let's say we want to see, let's look at just the number of people right now, right? So we could easily count this. It's 6 rows of data, but what if it's, several hundred rows of data? Um, what we can do is we can take out this star for all, and we can simply say count, open parenthesis, H, close parenthesis, and hit enter. And now we have 6. Okay. Now, what if we wanted to total up the amount of what those people bought? We can actually just change this count over to sum, and then make sure we're going to look at the J column because that's where we have our amounts. So we're restricting our search to only people that live in South Dakota based on column H, but then we want to sum what's in column J. And that sum is $294.46. And I believe we can even change that to an average. So an average of $49.08 per purchase. So you can see how this could be quite powerful if you're looking at a data set. And honestly, I haven't found the extreme limits of where the query function will no longer look at new rows of data. And I've queried off of tables that have 20,000 rows in them. So this is quite a powerful tool. So that's the sum, the count, and even at the averages. Now let's look at how we change this label up here, because that's to be honest, a little bit ugly if you're trying to create a dashboard and you don't like these labels. That's perfectly fine. We can change how this looks as long as you remember what it is. Um, we can just come in here at the back end of our query and we type in label. And then we want to say which column we're labeling. So it's going to be the average, open parenthesis, capital J, close parenthesis. And then what are we going to label it? So we're going to open parenthesis, and we're going to say, oh, so that's the average amount. And then close that with a single quote and hit enter. Oh, it did not like that. Well, I seem to have made a mistake somewhere. Oh, misspelling, of course. It always gets me. There we go. Average amount. So we can change this to sum amount, or actually, you know what? Total amount would be more appropriate, wouldn't it? And then if we were to come over here and change this to a sum instead of the average, and it gave us an error again. Unable to parse query string for function query, label column not in select average J. Oh, okay. So what that means is that it's looking for this column, but it can't find this column, right? Because we've told it that this label, we want to label this column. But now we're looking at this column. And so it's given it its own name, right? It's given it a pseudonym. And so we need to change the name that it's looking for here as well. We hit enter. And there it is. Now we have total amount of $294.46 instead of it saying sum and then amount. And there's your lesson for today. If you like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that thumbs up, and you all have a wonderful day.